Dear Diary, welcome to Bite-Sized Guide with Vampire Ville for Winged Horror. I found a commoner and drank their blood to conveniently lose accent for the purposes of this guide. Winged Horror is the easiest boss out of the current 3 Soul Shard bosses. Winged Horror is located at the top of the dreaded peak and can only be accessed once you have the bat form. Also, you should not fight this boss during the day as Dreaded Peak has very little shade. Abilities used for this fight are Veil of Chaos, Chaos Volley, Power Surge, and Mirror Strike as your ultimate. Weapons used for this fight are Sanguini Crossbow for its basic ranged attack and Rain of Bolts ability, and Sanguini Slashers for their camouflage ability. Power Surge is very important for this fight. It can be applied to yourself by mousing over your character and then pressing the hotkey that is assigned to Power Surge. Pressing the hotkey by itself without mousing over the character will do nothing and will make it seem that the spell is broken. The reason why Power Surge is very important for this fight is because Winged Horror can apply 2 types of debuffs on you. First debuff is Raging Fire, which will continuously damage you for 5 minutes. Damage from this debuff will not kill you, but it will continue to damage you over time and prevent you from gaining any significant health back. Power Surge should be used to remove this debuff. Second debuff is Desolate Frost, and it will slow your movement speed by 5%. Power Surge should also be used to remove this debuff. Only one debuff can be active at all times. Debuffs also get replaced by each other if you get hit by this boss's ability, which apply opposite debuff. At the start of the fight, Winged Horror will slowly approach you and try to get into melee range of you. Once in melee range, it will either jump back and perform one of its special abilities, Charge, or hit you with its paw and shoot out a cone of ice shards. Those ice shards will then split into 2 more ice shards. The boss will continue to slowly approach you throughout the fight in between using its special abilities. Winged Horror has several special abilities that you must keep in mind while fighting this boss. Ability 1 is Charge, and it's the most common ability used by this boss. The boss will stop and stand still for a second, after which it will charge towards you with 1 fireball on each side. Safest way to avoid getting hit by this ability is to immediately turn 90 degrees and run to the right or left of the boss. Alternatively, this is a great time to use your dash ability or Veil of Chaos to get out of the way. Ability 2 is when the boss flies up in the air and breathes down fire from where it flew up. Out of the fire, several small fireballs will jump out and land on the ground, setting it on fire. After breathing fire down, the boss will land from where it initially flew up. Stay out of the fire, as if you touch it, the fire will apply a Raging Fire debuff. The ground set on fire will stop burning after some time. If you have Raging Fire debuff, use your Power Surge to remove the debuff. Ability 3. The boss will fly up in the air again and rain down waves of random fireballs on the ground. Before fireballs hit the ground, red circles will appear on the ground. Move out of the red circles as soon as possible to prevent taking initial damage and getting Raging Fire debuff. Areas where fireballs land will also set the ground on fire. The ground set on fire will stop burning after some time. Boss will then land at a different location from where it initially flew up. Try not to get hit by the boss when it lands. Once again, if you have Raging Fire debuff, use your Power Surge to remove the debuff. Ability 4. The boss will stop and spin, resulting in ice shards shooting out in all directions of the boss. After a few seconds, ice shards will split into 2 more ice shards at a different angle. If hit by ice shards, you will be debuffed with Desolate Frost. If you have Desolate Frost debuff, use Power Surge to remove the debuff. Ability 5. The boss will stop and spawn a big circle of ice on the ground, which will explode after a few seconds. Circle of ice will be marked with a big red circle on the ground. Move out of the circle as soon as possible to prevent taking initial damage and getting Desolate Frost debuff. If you have Desolate Frost debuff, apply Power Surge to remove the debuff. Ability 6. Boss will stop and breathe fire, which will result in a cone of fireballs of 3 rows emanating from the boss. Each fireball, when it lands, will set the ground on fire. If hit by fireball, you will get Raging Fire debuff. To avoid getting hit by this ability, move as far back as possible and wait for the fireballs to land on their own, or dodge each wave of fireballs separately. If you have Raging Fire debuff, apply Power Surge to remove it. Ability 8. The boss will stand on its back paws and flap its wings, casting waves of fireballs that will fly towards you. The farther you are from the boss, the easier it is to dodge this ability. If hit by a fireball, you will get a Raging Fire debuff. The boss begins to use this ability at about 1/3 of its health. If you have Raging Fire debuff, apply Power Surge to remove it. Overall strategy for this boss fight is to keep your distance and avoid as many boss special abilities as possible, while using your spells and weapons to damage the boss. Don't forget to use Power Surge as needed to remove any and every debuff applied to you. Also, I included a successful kill of Winged Horror so you can see how the full fight plays out. I began the fight at the end of in-game day and at first used Fallen Angel as my ultimate, as I never used it before and thought it would be a good idea to test it out in this fight. Later in the fight, I switched it out to Mirror Strike as Fallen Angel is not a very good fit for this fight. If you found this video helpful, consider liking it and letting me know what your strategy was for this boss. For future boss guides, subscribe to my channel and enable notifications. Bye!